So now talk about India and Central Asia. So it is having a geostrategic, geoeconomic importance and geopolitical importance to counter terrorism and radicalism. History of India engagement with Central Asia. They have been under Soviet Union, therefore India has a historic present. So earlier Central Asian countries के अंदर थी, they were under the Soviet Union, so India had a historic present. After the end of the Cold War, Narasimha Rao launched North Policy, Look North Policy in 1992. So after the end of the Cold War, Look North, North में देखो ये वाली पॉलिसी लॉन्च की थी नरसिम्हा राव in 1992. It was a non-starter because Central Asian countries as well as India was busy in domestic political instability. So it was a non-starter. को ज़्यादा चला नहीं Look North policy of India in 1992 India because Central Asian country as well as India was busy in domestic political instability. So हम domestic political instability में busy थे. So India realized the importance of reason during war in Afghanistan. तो Central Asia की importance हमें पता चली during the war in Afghanistan. It is believed that Indian Air Forces has the first air base. So this is a Fakrur Air Base. It's Fakrur Air Base. Fakur Air Base in Tajikistan. And the southwest of Dushanbe, the capital of Tajikistan. So it is believed that Indian Air Force had its first air base outside India at Fakrur in Tajikistan. Now connected Central Asia policy started in 2012 after US announced withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan. India realized the strategic importance of Central Asia. After US announced the withdrawal of US forces from Afghanistan, India realized the importance of Central Asia. Hence, India launched Connect Central Asia policy in 2012 to build a strong political relationship with it. We have a historical relation with Central Asia and we wanted to build a strong political relationship. Strategic and security cooperation with the countries of Central Asia and investment in Central Asia. Air connectivity with Central Asian country, people to people connect. Investment in energy sector. For investment in energy sector. Engagement is multilateral platform. For example, SCOE, Russian Economic Union. We are having engagement in multilateral platform like USA, European Economic Union. Capacity building projects in Central Asian country. India has not taken as any steps. Prime Minister Modi visited countries in Central Asia in 2015. India has not taken many steps. Still, Prime Minister Modi has visited Central Asia in 2015. 2015 में गए थे नरेंद्र मोदी in Central Asia. So aim, what is the aim of Central Asia policy? To consolidate the partnership. India had a closer relationship with the Kazakhstan for oil, gas, and uranium. So India has a closer relation with Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is important for oil, gas, and uranium. So pro country are Uzbekistan, gas, gold, uranium, and Afghanistan border, and also touch Afghanistan border. Kazakhstan is having a hydropower. Turkmenistan important for Tapi pipeline. And Kyrgyzstan is closest to China. So which is country, South Asian country closest to China? Kyrgyzstan. So recently, Foreign Minister has inaugurated in First India Central Asia Dialogue in Uzbekistan. So Foreign Minister has inaugurated First India Central Asia Dialogue in Uzbekistan. That is for sustained engagement. तो फॉरेन मिनिस्टर ने इनॉग्रेट किया था फर्स्ट इंडिया सेंट्रल एशिया डायलॉग. इंडिया सेंट्रल एशिया का डायलॉग स्टार्ट किया था फॉरेन मिनिस्टर ने उज्बेकिस्तान में एंड दिस इज फॉर सस्टेन एंगेजमेंट. So it is talk about the West Asia. तो हमने सेंट्रल एशिया की बात की. Now we'll talk about the West Asia. It is our extended neighborhood. It is important for energy supply and for the remittances. We have a huge Indian diaspora in the West Asia, but the problem is security concern. ISIS will have implication in the South Asia also. Importance of West Asia. Policy objective in West Asia. West Asia is one of the sensitive zone in international politics. Very sensitive zone. Most sensitive zone in international politics is West Asia. One of the most polarized regions was a polarized Arab-Jewish conflict chalta hai. It is called as a mother of all conflicts. Then there is a conflict between Iran and Israel. There is a conflict between Iran and Saudi Arabia. In Iran, Israel, Iran and Saudi Arabia. There is Islamic fundamentalism, terrorism, and non-state actors. The problem is Islamic fundamentalism, terrorism, non-state actors. Involvement of the external power in the region. There is a conflict between conflict in the Muslim world, Shia and Sunni. What has been the India's policy framework to deal with it? So West Asia is the best place for successful conduct of non-alignment. So West Asia is the best place for successful conduct of non-alignment. So why? India has a key interest in the major actors. For example, Iran, GCC countries. It is led by Saudi Arabia, Israel. All the three actors are against each other. So these Iran, GCC and Saudi Arabia, Israel. So Iran, Saudi Arabia and Israel. These are against each other. The best way to sail through choppy waters of West Asia is practicing non-alignment. So best way to sail through the choppy water of West Asia is practicing non-alignment. So West way to sail through the choppy water of West Asia is through practicing non-alignment. Taking principal distance, what does it imply? So India should not stay away from temptation of treating any country as a natural ally. So India should stay away from treating temptation, should stay away from the temptation of treating any country as natural ally. India should keep itself away from the any domestic country toward which India had a temptation to treat as a natural ally. So India has a Israel. Toward this country, India has a temptation to treat as a natural ally. So Israel will be the worst bet. The west bet can be Iran. The west bet is Iran. The GCC countries are led by Saudi Arabia. What make Israel India's natural ally? Vajpayee called Israel as a natural ally. Why? Because it appears more ideological announcement than less strategic calculation. It appears more ideological announcement, less strategic calculation. So love towards Israel of Hindu rightist group has never been a secret. So love towards Israel of the Hindu rightist group has never been a secret. Through Congress opposed the creation of Israel, RSS and Hindu Mahasabha supported it. There is an ideological compatibility between Israel idea of the nation and the rightist idea of the India. The ideological compatibility between Israel idea of the nation and rightist idea of India. Even CAB proposed by this Citizenship Amendment Bill proposed by present government was modeled on the approach of Israel citizenship. Even CAG proposed by the present government was modeled on the approach of Israel citizenship. That means homeland for Jews. Present government has an inclination to adopt Israel approach in dealing with the neighbor, especially Pakistan. Present government has inclination to approach Israel approach in dealing with the neighbors like Pakistan. Israel has been conducted preemptive strike against India against enemy countries. For example, Balakot strike was also projected as a preemptive strike. Israel has been conducting preemptive strike against the enemy country. Balakot strike would also project as a preemptive strike. However, security approach for India for Israel will not work for India. Why? Because they are placed in a different strategic environment. So India and Israel are placed in a strategic environment. None of the Israel neighbor has nuclear weapon. None of the Israel neighbor has nuclear weapon and preemptive strike. India does not have a type of support which Israel has from USA. So India does not enjoy a kind of support which Israel support has from USA. And Israel is a smaller country with a cohesive nationalism. So Israel is a smaller country with cohesive nationalism. And India does not have such an organic view of nationalism. So Israel is a small country with a cohesive sense of nationalism. India does not have organic view of nationalism. In Israel, it is mandatory for all to serve in the forces. In India, nationalism limit to support to the armed forces. In Israel, it is mandatory for all to serve in the armed forces. And in India, nationalism limits to support to the armed forces. Israel is valuable partner of India in following ways. So as a provider of the high security defense equipment at a very much cheap price. Israel, it is a provider of the high quality defense equipment at a much cheaper price. So why Israel important? Because it provide high quality defense equipment. बहुत high quality defense equipment provide करता है बहुत ही cheap price पे. Had expertise in servicing Russian defense equipment. Russia defense equipment की servicing नहीं provide कर पाता है, तो it is having expertise in servicing Russian defense equipment. And Israel does not put conditionality like USA. And India got us first unmanned air vehicle from Israel. First unmanned air vehicle हमें कहाँ से मिला? Israel से मिला है. Israel has expertise in managing cross border filtration. तो बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सपर्टीज इन मैनेजिंग क्रॉस बॉर्डर फिल्ट्रेशन. इसराइल कैन हेल्प इंडिया इन द फूड सिक्योरिटी में हेल्प कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ट्राइलेट फार्मिंग, इसराइल एक्सपर्ट इन दैट. एंड इंडिया इसराइल एक्सपर्टीज इन मैनेज क्रॉस बॉर्डर फिल्ट्रेशन. तो देयर इज अ स्कोप फॉर कॉर्पोरेशन इन स्पेस. स्पेस में कॉर्पोरेशन कर सकते हैं. इंक्रीजिंग ट्रेड, वी कैन ट्रेड इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं. इंडिया इज प्रोवाइडिंग इसराइल प्रोवाइडिंग इंडिया विद बराक 8 मिसाइल. बराक 8 कहाँ से ले रहे हैं? इसराइल से. सो फॉर इंडिया एंड इसराइल हैज बीन बायर एंड सेलर रिलेशनशिप, टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर एंड जॉइंट प्रोडक्शन. सो इंडिया एंड इसराइल के बीच में बायर एंड सेलर रिलेशनशिप है. सो वी कैन upgrade it to the technology transfer and joint production. However, India should be cautious as Israel is a supplier of offensive weapon even to China. So India should be cautious because Israel अपनी जो weapon supply, offensive weapon supply कर रहा है even to China, China को भी दे रहा है. तो we India must be cautious because Israel is supplier to the offensive weapon even to China. And Israel has made a huge investment in China's defense sector. So there is a limit to which Israel can help India, as Israel itself is an isolated country. There is a limit to which Israel can help India, as Israel itself is an isolated country. So Israel is in West Asia and is having strategic and economic importance. So when British was ruling India, West Asia and South Asia was a strategic single strategic space. तो जो West Asia था, South Asia था, जब British rule करे थे, that was a single strategic space, and they were commanding the security force of entire region. Because instability happens in the West Asia, it is going to have a repercussion in all aspects. तो ब्रिटिश जब रूल करे थे वेस्ट एशिया में, तो जो वेस्ट एशिया साउथ एशिया था, एक सिंगल स्ट्रैटेजिक स्पेस था. वो जो सिक्योरिटी को कमांड करते इन द एंटायर रीजन, वो वेस्ट एशिया में सिक्योरिटी कमांड करते इन द साउथ एशिया, दे वर कमांडिंग सिक्योरिटी इन द एंटायर रीजन, बिकॉज अगर इंस्टेबिलिटी होती है वेस्ट एशिया में, इट इज गोइंग टू हैव अ रिपरकशन हेयर, तो उसकी सेंटर साउथ एशिया में भी रिपरकशन होगा। इंस्टेबिलिटी वेस्ट एशिया में होती है, इट विल हैव अ रिपरकशन इन द साउथ एशिया as well. So it will have affect the economic and it will affect the economic and affect the economic interest. And the West Asia is a challenging area because there is so many internal fault lines. So West Asia was challenging area. It's a very unstable area because of the internal fault line, and they are increasing the internal fault lines of West Asia. They are increasing more and more since the end of the Cold War. It has increasing many times more. In the West Asia, there are three major pillars. So कौन से major pillars हैं? Three. एक ईरान है, इजराइल है, एक सऊदी अरबिया है. So three major pillars: Israel and Iran and Saudi Arabia. So when Vajpayee was a prime minister, India is too big to be a junior part of partnership of any country. So India is too big to be a junior partner of any country, and we are placed in such a neighbor that it is not very easy to see alliance with the cost of the other. So India is placed in such a neighbor that it is not easy us to see alliance in the cost of the another. So West Asia is a place where we should go for key refining our policy of the non-alignment, not involving too much in the domestic affairs. So South West Asia is a place where we should go for refining our policy of the non-alignment, not involving too much in their domestic affairs. So West Asia is a place where we should go for key refining our policy of the non-alignment, not involving too much in their domestic affairs. Our relationship with Israel was not so explicit because Israel is an isolated country. So our relationship with Israel is not explicit because Israel is an isolated country, but now it is becoming more and more explicit. As Modi was the first prime minister, Modi was the first prime minister to go a standalone visit during the time of the Modi. Again, Israeli prime minister visited. So these official gesture or something like that. India needs a policy of counter-terrorism. Gesture or something like India needs a policy of counter-terrorism. Congress policy. Congress had a close link with Israel, yet policy was to keep relation in secret. So Congress also has a policy of close relation with Israel, but policy was to keep it in the secret. But the policy of BJP is to bring the relationship in public. How to look at the approach of the BJP? Considering India stake in Gulf as well as in Iran, it may not be a right gesture. Considering India's stake in Gulf and Iran, it cannot be seen as a right gesture. However, it can be said that India is becoming a more confident. However, it can also be said that India is becoming a more confident. India's love for Israel has been an open secret now. So India's love for Israel has been an open secret now. Conditions also become most favorable, strengthen the partnership with Iran. Conditions are also most favorable to strengthen the partnership with Iran. At present, there is an alignment going on between Israel and Saudi Arabia. So conditions are also most favorable to strengthen the partnership with Israel because at present the alignment is going between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Second point, at present Palestine issue is as an deserted or orphan issue. At present, the Palestine issue is an deserted or orphan issue. Is there any domestic determinant that shape India's policy toward West Asia? So is there any domestic determinant that shape our India's policy toward West Asia? Policy under Congress. So it has been held that West Asia policy too much shaped by domestic determinants. So West Asia policy is too much determined domestic determinant, the sentiments of the Muslim minorities, and that is why India gave preference to Palestine, cause ignored the full diplomatic relation with Israel and ignored even the full diplomatic relation with Israel. And it is determined by the sentiment of the Muslim minorities. It is true that domestic actor play a role, but the reason there has not been the sentiment of Muslim minority, reason have been entirely secular consideration. So first, India's energy security. Second, proximity. India's energy security. Second, proximity. Third is diaspora in West countries. Fourth is remittances and proximity. Energy security, proximity, diaspora, and remittances. So in India, there is no Muslim lobby like Jewish lobby or Indian lobby in USA. So there is no Muslim lobby in India like Jewish lobby or Indian lobby in USA. Why India has favored Palestine and opposed the creation of the Israel? Why? Do you think the opposition was a principle or pragmatic? So why India favored Palestine, opposed the creation of Israel? Do you think the opposition was principle or pragmatic? Gandhi and Congress opposed the creation of Israel due to Pak factor. So they opposed the creation of Israel due to Pak factor. Religion cannot be basis. Real cause. It was understood the creation of Israel will destabilize the entire Middle East. So it was understood that creation of Israel would destabilize the Middle East. At present, say that that domestic consideration are playing the bigger role. But at present, we can say that domestic consideration are playing a bigger role. At foreign policy, the countries are always based on secular consideration, geopolitical interest. At foreign policy, the country are always based on secular consideration, geopolitical interest. For example, Gulf countries have always tried to maintain a principal distance between India and Pakistan. The Gulf countries always try to maintain a principal distance between India and Pakistan. And there is a considerable improvement in India, and there's a considerable improvement in the India relation with the Gulf countries. For example, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. There's a considerable improvement in the India relation with the Gulf countries. If India had a relation with the Saudi Arabia, it had never impacted India Iran relation. So India has a good relation with Saudi Arabia, but it never impacted the India Iran relation. India Iran relation, what is important? Proximity. It is a comparison to Saudi Arabia. So it is in proximity compared to the Saudi Arabia. It make economic sense to importing. It make economic sense to import oil from Iran. So it make economic sense to import oil from Iran. And much of the Iranian refineries has been built Iranian crude oil. Much of the Indian refinery has been built refining Iranian crude oil. In the Iranian crude oil को refine करने के लिए काफी Indian refineries बनी है. India had engagement with the Iran for the payment in the rupees. To India, it had an engagement in the Iran for the payment in rupees. So India has a huge geostrategic importance. India has a huge geostrategic importance. India has a huge soft power. So Middle East में the most powerful country is Iran. As you can see the location of Iran. Iran touches Persian Gulf as well as Caspian. So Iran दोनों touch करता है. Persian Gulf को भी touch करता है, Caspian को भी touch करता है. And very important for the perspective of energy security. So Iran is very important for the perspective of energy security. And that is why US want that Iran should be under control. So Iran is very important for perspective of energy security. So US want Iran to be controlled. Persian Gulf. If we talk about Persian Gulf is a major sea route and USA would like to control it. So Persian Gulf is a major sea route. सबसे ज़्यादा major sea route है Persian Gulf, and USA also want to control it because USA has based on controlling sea routes. USA policy is mainly based on the controlling sea route and controlling the trade route. So USA policy has been mainly based on the controlling sea route and trade route. And if you see the geography of Persian Gulf, geography said that you will allow Iranian ship to control it and attack, and they can protect themselves. The Iranian ship that they can attack and control themselves. So the position, geostrategic location of Iran says that it can control the trade through the Persian Gulf. It can block the checkpoints. So military Iran is like a fort. So military Iran is like a fort. On the side of Iran is much like Iranian population. The center towards, so at the center there is Iranian population, and toward north and south there is a mountains. So it's covered by mountains on either sides, and there is a desert. So north में there is a mountain, center में population है, south में desert है. So that's why Iran is like a fort. तो यूएसए की पॉलिसी क्या है कि प्रेजेंट एट द पॉइंट ऑफ वनरेबिलिटी वाले पॉइंट पर यूएसए प्रोसेस प्रेजेंट only at the point of vulnerability. So Iran is the most important country among all the Muslim countries. It is the most technologically advanced. So among all the Muslim countries, Iran is the most technologically advanced, most educated section also lies in Iran. So Iran wants US policies to check the regional power. So US policies to check every regional power. If it is not a potential to rise, to check the rise of regional power, because Iran's regional power increasing USA and will not be able to dominate. And once Iran develop the nuclear weapon, so once Iran will develop the nuclear weapon, US will not be able to dominate. And USA's policy is to check the rise of every regional power. USA will not be able to maintain its presence in the Middle East because Iran will develop Saudi Arabia will also develop nuclear weapon. So because if Iran develop weapon, so Saudi Arabia will also develop, and so the none of country will requiring the US force. After every country develop the nuclear weapon, none of the country will require the US force, and the US will not be in the position to bargain with any of the country's foreign policy. And one of the objectives of foreign policy around is to check the proliferation of the nuclear weapon, not because they are committed for some international peace, but if all the countries possesses the nuclear weapon, it will be challenges for USA, as the country will not be ready to cooperate with USA. As you can see the example of North Korea, and especially after the Iran-Iraq war and killing of the Saddam Hussein, the USA has restored the balance of the power, as Iraq was the only country that was checking the rise of the Iran. And now the entire Shia crescent, Iran, Iraq and Syria and the Lebanon, Iran is today in a much better position to increase its influence. So US policy will always the policy of containment of the Iran, and that's why when the Iran-India-US relation has started coming closer to the containment of Iran, need Iran's containment regime change. So they want to regime change in Iran. They want regime change in Iran. So you talk about the Iran and USA relationship. USA and Iran, the problem started between in 1979. So problem between USA and Iran started in 1979. Onwards 1979, Islamic revolution took place and the Islamic rule established here. And leader was Reza Shah. and Reza Shah Pahlavi, and they were pro-West, and he was modernizing the Iranian society. He has left Iranian oil and gas exploration by the Western British and all MNCs. So he left the Iranian gas exploration to the Western British and all MNCs, and certain section from the Iranian society for those who have a orthodoxy. So certain orthodox section from Iranian society, they think it like as they were attacking their custom and civilization and religious aspect. Within Iran, there was a huge influence of USSR, and USSR supported the democracy action, and this was having a socialist orientation. So USSR supported democracy action, and this was having a socialist orientation and democracy combined together against the Western ISIS in Iran. And in 1979, once again, Islamic revolution established. Islamic revolution is legitimacy based on the opposition to West. So Islamic revolution took place in 1979, and its legitimacy of this Islamic revolution was based on the opposition to West. They will never go for favoring the West. So what West wants? So West would also always want that the aim of the trunk is that aim of the US policy is Iran should collapse or change in the Iranian regime. To change the Iranian regime, the USA want to create the economic hardship for the people of Iran. USA put economic sanction because USA want to put economic hardship on the people of Iran, so that people start feeling the problem is because of the government economic hardship because that people start feeling the problem of the Iran is due to the government. So India policy towards Iran is guided by the role of USA. Our foreign policy is not built in the South Bloc, but is built in the Washington. So, but there will be perfect alignment between will there be perfect alignment with India's policy in the Northwest? What is it? Was it is guaranteed? What annoyed Iran? That India voted thrice against Iran in IAEA. There was no proof that time that Iran was developing nuclear weapon, but India voted thrice against the Iran. What India's principal argument? India said that since Iran is not a member of NPT, India should have and India should not go for nuclear test. So Iran should have followed the NPT rules. India is not a member of the NPT and was not under obligation. That argument is fine, but what is wrong in voting against it? So we should follow the policy that we should not vote against any country specific resolution. So we should not support any country specific resolution. So we should not vote against any country specific resolution. We have created space for Pakistan to strengthen relationship with Iran. So we have created space for Pakistan to strengthen relation with Iran. India launched spy satellite of Iran. So India launched spy satellite of Iran. Iran consistent support of Pak move on Kashmir issue. Iran containment of Babri Mosque. Iran comment on Babri Mosque. In the process, we have created space for Pakistan to strengthen this relation with Iran. And launching of the spy satellite of Israel. Objection which they have raised now has been what Iran's attitude towards India. So painful. So one painful thing that India talks against Iran, consistent support over Pakistan is also something a pinch of salt on India's face. So it's like a pinch of salt on India's face. Iran has expressed its concern after the demolition of Babri Mosque. Though sometimes Iranian government does come up with some statement related to the issue, but it is a statecraft. That is a politics in the front of the people. So we have to see it as a statecraft. That is a politics in the front of the people. There is a huge scenery of interest. Even Iran put up there is a huge scenery of interest. Even Iran put in all the basket in Pakistan. It is a dangerous game, but considering the isolation and the situation, Iran goes towards Pakistan. So considering the isolation and the situation, Iran goes towards Pakistan. In fact, if any country emerges naturally alive for India, it becomes Iran, not Saudi Arabia. It will not be Iran. So after 2001, there was a visit of Iranian president, and that led to Delhi Declaration. 2001 में Iranian president आए थे, and that led to the Delhi Declaration. There was fear in the USA. There is a possibility of emergence of Delhi-Iran axis. So fear कहाँ पे आ गया USA में? That there was a possibility of emerging Delhi-Iran axis. There has been double their effort to create differences in Iran. तो यूएसए ने अपनी जो एफर्ट्स थे डबल कर दिए टू क्रिएट डिफरेंसेस इन ईरान एंड वी स्टार्टेड अननेसेसरली डिलेइंग चाबार्ड पोर्ट. व्हाट इज द सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ ईरान? Afghanistan and Pakistan. It is very important for access to Afghanistan and destabilizing Pakistan, and important for access to Central Asia. Iran is interest in Gulf. India's interest in the Gulf, Persian Gulf, and जो ईरान है टच करता है Persian Gulf को. And evolution of the relation. if we talk about relationship, historical and cultural connection. So Iran के साथ भी cultural historical connection है, strategic convergence. India and Iran relationship have never matched its potential. So हमारी जो relation it has never matched its potential to its potential. कोल्ड वॉर में क्या हुआ, फर्स्ट फेज था 1979, ईरान वाज प्रो यूएस, इंडिया वाज प्रो सोवियत यूनियन. तो फर्स्ट फेज में भी हम पास में नहीं थे बिकॉज ईरान वाज प्रो यूएस and India was pro-Soviet Union till 1979. After 1979, 1989, there was some improvement in the relationship, but not as par with the expectation. तो कुछ improvement हुआ 1979 to 1989, but it was not as par with the expectations. Reason, the government of Iran looking for legitimacy. It has open to talk. तो जो गवर्नमेंट थी ईरान की जो 1979 में थी, that started looking for legitimacy. Legitimacy के they go for religious thing. They has open to talk about the Kashmir. And it stands, it has approved Pakistan pro. इसके स्टेप क्या था, पाकिस्तान pro था. And treatment of, they talk about the treatment of Muslim in India. And India and Iran relationship has limited to oil and gas. So their relationship has limited to oil and gas. So Iran has always been supporting Pakistan, Pakistan war. So Iran is always supported. पाकिस्तान को support किया ईरान ने पाकिस्तान इंडिया वॉर में. However, Iran never stop the supply of oil during the war. The war में supply को नहीं कभी stop किया ईरान ने. Iran has never stopped supply of oil during the war. India has a convenient arrangement of barter trade or oil trade in local currency. तो इंडिया के पास convenient arrangement of barter trade or oil trade in local currency. After Cold War, as India-Israel relationship is becoming prominent. तो Cold War के बाद क्या हुआ, India USA और India Israel relation काफी ज़्यादा prominent हो गए. India Iran relation kept on getting overshadowed. India और ईरान के relation they kept on getting overshadowed. Iran has expressed huge displeasure over demolition of the Babri Mosque. Iran has expressed huge displeasure over demolition of the Babri Mosque. India and Iran cooperated in the war against Taliban in 2001. तो war against Taliban ने ईरान और इंडिया ने cooperate किया था in 2001. Indian medical mission गया towards 2003. India and Iran relationship started improving. There was a fear of development of Iran-New Delhi nexus. Nexus start हो जाएगा New Delhi ईरान का. So there was a fear of development of Iran and New Delhi nexus. President of Iran visited India, resulting in New Delhi Declaration, vision of strategic partnership. Since USA started intervening their partnership 2005, since then US-Iran tension have grown as in more and more, and they started imposing sanctions, accusing Iran of violating NPT and developing weapons of mass destruction. USA versus Iran policy is a part of USA policy to maintain its hegemony. So USA और ईरान पॉलिसी, USA की पॉलिसी है to maintain its hegemony. Checking the rise of the regional headman. So they want to check the rise of the regional headman. Iran is the most powerful country in the Middle East. In the terms of hard power में सबसे ज़्यादा important है, most powerful country है ईरान. Having a strategic location near strategic location है most powerful country in the terms of hard power, and is having a strategic location in the near Persian Gulf. And second, it is having also near Caspian Sea. तो Persian Gulf और Caspian Sea नीचे पर्शियन गल्फ ऊपर कैप्शन सी को टच करता है. तो कंटेन ईरान यूएसए हैज टू वर्क टू कोलैप्स द प्रेजेंट रेजिम. तो ईरान के साथ करने के लिए यूएसए हैज टू वर्क टू कोलैप्स द प्रेजेंट रेजिम. सो हैंस यूएसए वांट टू क्रिएट इकोनॉमिक हार्डशिप फॉर द पीपल ऑफ ईरान. सो यूएसए कंपेल इंडिया टू शिफ्ट सोर्स ऑफ ऑयल इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम ईरान टू जीसीसी कंट्री. सो यूएस कंपेल इंडिया टू शिफ्ट सोर्स ऑफ ऑयल इंपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम ईरान टू जीसीसी कंट्री. इंडिया हैड टू कैंसल आईपीआई पाइपलाइन इन द फेवर तापी. इंडिया वोटेड अगेंस्ट ईरान इन IAEA thrice. So current status, Manmohan Singh government even avoided visiting Iran on Naam Summit. So Manmohan Singh government even avoided visiting Iran on Naam Summit. However, later on India realized the importance of Iran once USA declared that it will leave Afghanistan. So India renewed its interest in Chabahar and renewed interest in interaction with the North-South transport corridor. So renewed interest in interaction with the North-South transport corridor. Started importing Iranian oil as a result of the deal between India, Iran and Obama. There was a relaxation of sanction. Why Obama gave relaxation to Iran to counter ISIS? Because Obama want to counter ISIS. Once Modi government visited Iran in 2016, consolidated Iran and India relationship. Once Modi visited Iran in 2016, consolidated Iran and India relationship. So India got waiver from sanction on the condition that India will consider progressively reduce its dependence on Iranian oil. But again, China has a good relation with Iran. European Union was also not interested in the sanction imposed by Trump. So these countries are there trying to find an alternative arrangement. So India's unilateral sanction put by USA. Russia does not favor the sanction. China is also having a good relation with Iran. European Union is also not interested in the sanction on Iran. as it also get against the interest of the European countries. So USA has imposed a unilateral economic sanctions. Countries are trying to find alternative arrangement for trading with Iranian oil to trading with Iranian oil. India is not also coming under pressure. India did not accept the unilateral sanction of the USA, and India said that it will continue trading in the local currency. Iran has favored India in the case of Pulwama terror attack. So, Iran has favored India in the case of Pulwama terror attack. Iran is in the favor of India, but the relationship may goes up and down. It is nowhere near the potential. So relation go ups and down. It is nowhere near the potential. We are exploring working together on the counter-terrorism, and Iranian support may be proved critical in Afghanistan. So we are working together on the counter-terrorism, and Iranian support may prove critical in Afghanistan. Iran support is essential if इंडिया wants to win the case in ICC. So ईरान का सपोर्ट काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है अगर इंडिया ICC में भी विन करना चाहता है then. ICC means International Criminal Court.